third lesson, and the topic of today's our lesson, cognitive factors, inductive and deductive reasoning in language learning. So as you know, in our previous lesson, you learned about what kind of cognitive factors that influence in language learning?
Interference and generalization.
Transference, yeah? Transfer, interference, and overgeneralization. Okay, and as you see, today's topic is the continuation of that topic, yeah? About the cognitive factors in language learning. And today, specifically, we are going to speak or to discuss about the biology and logic, as you see, yeah? So the part that is in brown is kind of neural pathways, yeah? Kind of roots. Okay, what about the in blue? Kind of blocks, yeah? So this is about, one part is about analytical skills of students. The second part that is in brown is about the critical thinking of students. Is it clear? And today we are going to speak what is the role of analytical and critical thinking in language learning. Questions for discussion. The first one, how did learning your first language differ from your second language? Learning the first language and learning the second language. And the second language, yeah? Or acquiring.
When we grow up, our parents talk to us, talk to each other in front of us, and by this way, we can learn our first language. This is our native language. In this,
so you would like to say to learn some rules, for example, yes, or to give some instructions for the child, for example, yeah. So we learn our native language from our birth subconsciously, without any rules, yeah. What about the second language?
Learn by heart, vocabularies, new words.
You would like to say that the second language, the learning the second language is completely different from the learning of native language, yeah? Okay, and or to find the pattern yourself. Some learners prefer strict rules, while others prefer guessing. Today's lesson is to analyze the distinct rules of deductive and inductive reasoning in language acquisition. As you see here, deductive one is folded in another way, like top down, and inductive one is like bottom up. And we are going to distinguish them. And objectives to define or to differentiate between top-down processing and bottom-up discovery. And then we are going to examine teaching methods like grammar translation and audiolingualism. And then we will move to the exploring guided discovery as a pedagogical bridge. The factors in language learning that we are going to discuss, then deductive and inductive approach. We are going to differentiate methodological roots of these approaches. Then we are going to speak about guided discovery. Then we will move to the analytical data, or about the analytical skills. And the last one that we are going to discuss is pedagogical reality. As you see in this image, so this image suggests that teacher's choice should depend on the specific needs of the students. For example, the core points of this here, as you see, reasoning processes influence how learners perceive, process, and internalize linguistic information. So we should use deductive or is it inductive one, for example, yeah? Depending on the student's needs or depending on the student's styles, for example, learning styles. The teacher's choice. Methodological choices must align with learners' cognitive needs and proficiency level. Here we should differentiate their age and knowledge level and their cognitive needs. Inductive and deductive reasoning. Which one is the best choice for the students? So the first one that we're going to, and then after explanation, teacher moves to the practical part, yeah, as you say, specific examples. Teacher explains the rule firstly, then students apply it in practice. For example, let's say today's our topic is present perfect. Firstly, teacher should explain the rules of the present perfect, yeah, the formation, the usage of these tense, yeah, for example, and then students implement the rules in doing exercises, yeah, in the practical part. And key characteristics here, so this one is rule driven. Why rule driven? What do you think? Why rule driven? Because this kind of
Mistakes.
in a correct way without mistakes, yeah, so this is accuracy. What about fluency?
Fluency without pause.
Speaking in one pace, yes. This is fluency. So as you see, this method is accuracy oriented because in the first place is rules. Rules. We should know how to use these rules. We should learn by heart these rules, yeah? And this kind, as you see from this image, for example, yeah, here the lesson can be started with specific instances or with specific examples, and then students move to the general conclusion. So how we can start with specific examples? What do you think? In inductive approach, in inductive reasoning. For example, if our topic is past simple tense, before writing it on the blackboards, after coming to the classroom, I can ask my students, for example, yeah, so yesterday, these students, I would like to share with you my past experience. Yesterday, I watched a very interesting film. What about you? What did you do yesterday? Yeah? And, for example, students share their past experience, yeah? If I say, for example, I watched it, like, yeah, by adding ed, and students also should start in the same way. And if some of them don't know the rules, for example, yeah, if some of them can, for example, can say like, I watch, like, yeah, I watch, and here we should smoothly or gently just correct them. Watch it, you should add ed here to the main verb, yeah, like this. So, and they then start sharing their past experience by using ed or by adding ed to the main verb. Is it clear? And in this way, they share their own experience with each other, with a teacher, for example, yeah? And in this way, this kind of lesson starts with interactive activity with the form of the language. And now let's move to the autolingualism. As you see, so this one is heavily inductive. So this emphasizes in inductive learning or in inductive teaching. Why inductive teaching? In audiolingual method, mostly techniques that are used are repetition, like memorization, focus is pattern exposure. So for example, we can, for example, repeat many times one sentence. And then we can memorize it. Is it clear? We can personalize it and we can feel it. And activity, repetition, and drills, as we have said above, and goal of this method is inferring rules through the context. So, for example, but this method is a bit boring. Why boring? What do you think?
To learn ourselves by ourselves, and for example, we can listen podcasts in YouTube channels and listening music in English maybe.
And memorize it without understanding the meaning. So this is the goal of audiolingualism. And why boring? Because it makes feel yourself like parrots on a repetition. Is it clear? That is why this one a bit boring. You see, modified deductive learning. Yeah? In a traditional deductive approach, teacher gives the rules first and then students practice. And here the modified twist is instead of just telling them, the teacher uses leading questions to elicit. You know, yeah, what is eliciting? The rule from the students' prior knowledge before they dive into the hidden practice. And focus is here, confirming logic and establishing a foundation quickly. On the right side, on the right column, you can see modified inductive approach. Yeah? Here, graphic notes that the primary benefit is deeper cognitive engagement. Here is why that matters in a classroom. As you can see, it is very beneficial, for example, to use in one lesson both of them. For example, firstly we can start from the sharing our experience, yeah, based on the topic of the lesson. And after students discovering the topic or discovering the rule, we can move to the explanation of the topic, to the inductive, to the deductive parts. Outlines a student-centered approach to language learning, often referred to as guided discovery or inductive learning. Rather than the teacher simply explaining a grammar rule, students uncover the language through a structured 3-step cycle, as you see here. The core philosophy is here teacher as a facilitator. So he is like guide, yeah, here on the left. There are these two approaches, yeah. As you see, in the one side deductive, on the other side inductive. So why, when we say from the general to particular, what do you understand here? From the general to particular in deductive one. General, it means the rules, yeah? From the rules, we move to the practice, particular. Rule driven, yeah? Because firstly comes rules. The next one is teacher-centered. Why teacher-centered?
Because teacher speaks.
Yes, one to use in his or her lesson, for example, yeah? It depends on the goal of the lesson. Or teachers can use both of them in one lesson.
They try to show their knowledge in their first language.
Not the first language, no. To use requires balancing 3 critical factors. The first one is retention. What is retention?
It is memorization, and when we learn something about some subjects, we try to remember these rules and other things about this subject.
About the topic.
As I mentioned on the last lessons, learning language and studying is a one journey, and during the journey we can sometimes or we can give up, or we can give up, or teachers when teachers give us motivation, and we can feel up.
Yes, in order to provide adequate support. Yeah, what does it mean? Adequate support.
And then
Yes.
we should give feedbacks and including mistakes.
For example, when the teacher starts the lesson from the rules, for example, yeah. So this is deductive one. Directly with the rules. That is why deductive, yeah. When the teacher starts the lesson with practice, with storytelling, yeah. For example, so this one is inductive reasoning or bottom-up approach, for example, or rule discovering approach. Is it clear? So in the first one, rule-driven, rule in the first place, yeah. On the second one, rule discovery and practice on the first place. Students discover the rules.
Different of deductive and inductive learning. Firstly, in deductive way, the students are the teacher start lesson with rules, strict rules, but in second one, in inductive way, teachers start lesson with examples or storytelling and so on. So in inductive way, in first rule is not strict rules or grammar information. The first rule in this
involving students.
Yes, involving students and in inductive way, students are active learner and part in lesson more productively. But in deductive way, students just passive learner. They are just listen and
Passive receivers.
yes, passive receivers.